Morning, morning, morning. It's cold, windy, damp, rainy, nasty morning here at the Spurs Talk Show HQ. How you guys doing? How you feeling waking up this morning? Maybe with a bit of time to reflect on what happened yesterday. We're going to talk about that on today's show of Tottenham Walks, which is episode, I think, 84 now, guys. 84. I'm Sean Butler, if you didn't know. This little one is Bugsy Malone. And let's get going. If you don't mind, please do me a favour and smash the like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell so that you can be alerted every time we drop new content. Also, guys, live streams will be returning to the channel very, very soon, imminently, in fact, because we're getting our Wi-Fi provider changed. Anyway, let's talk about yesterday's game. Well, look, 2-1, right? We lose 2-1. Liverpool closed the gap. Other games didn't really go our way too much either. Newcastle beat Southampton 4-1. Arsenal extend their lead to at the top over us by another 3 points, having beaten Chelsea 1-0. The only result that was kind of favourable, I guess, was Manchester United were dispatched very convincingly by Aston Villa under Unai Emery. Good evening. 3-1 at Villa Park. All those games happened before ours. We were the last game of the weekend, and look, the formation as we saw it was the exact formation that I wanted to see. Given the injuries that we had, given the inability to start Kulusevski or Lucas Moura, Brian Hill didn't make sense to me. I wanted to see Perisic on the pitch at the same time, and I wanted to see Sessegnon on the pitch at the same time. And so I was happy with the formation. It was exactly what I wanted. And look, we start the game. I think we had the better of the opening exchanges. Throughout the entire 90 minutes, I think that Bissouma and Bentancur were the best two midfielders of the six that were on the pitch. I thought Bissouma had his best game in a Tottenham shirt. I thought Bentancur continues to impress and move the ball quite flowingly forward and try to be that bridge between the rest of the team and Harry Kane and Perisic. Perisic, of course, was playing up front for the first time in a Tottenham shirt. 1 second. I thought he had a really good game. I did. Like, he's obviously not ideal to have to play someone who's as a left wing back in the forward role, but I think he actually played more as the 9 than as anything else, with Harry Kane dropping deep and trying to get into the more creative side of the match and fill those gaps. He had a good chance in the first half. I can't remember if it was 0-0 or 1-0 at the time to Liverpool, but gets on the end of a Harry Kane cross, heads the ball, good save from Alisson, knocks it onto the post. Look, then obviously the game has moments and patterns, right? So we start the game well, but then Liverpool break on us, and part of the consequences of the way that we played yesterday was that, usually Tottenham sit very deep and absorb and invite all that pressure for 45 minutes, and I think Conte didn't do that yesterday, and I was happy to see it. He was asking the team to push further up the field. He was certainly pushing the wing backs really forward. Sessegnon was basically playing as a third or fourth striker at times, or forward, like a wing forward, and you could make the same argument for Emerson Royale. Consequences of doing that are that when you do lose possession, and we did, a lot of space in behind. Ball gets knocked over into the channel. Darwin Núñez probably was given too much time by Eric Dyer. Takes it down well, looks inside and puts a zippy pass into Salah, who just does what Mo Salah does. If you give the guy an opportunity, it doesn't matter how bad Liverpool are playing in the season. Mo Salah against Tottenham, it's hand in glove for him. And he punishes us against the run of play, in my opinion. So we're 1-0 down. I then think we take control of the game again and go back into it. Ryan Sessegnon shoved in the back by Trent Alexander-Arnold. Pivotal key moment in the game, and the referee gets it wrong. In my opinion, it's a stonewall penalty for 2 reasons. One is against for Manchester City on Saturday, Cancelo gets a red card for doing the exact same thing in his game and gives away a penalty. The only difference is he was the last man and hence was shown the red card. but Trent doesn't even give away a penalty. It's not a foul in the eyes of the referee. Shoot forward 20 minutes later, the exact same thing happens in the same game, except it's outside the area, and if anything, the contact is about 10% as much as it was in the penalty incident, and the ref gives a free kick. Disgrace, absolute disgrace. Massive moment. You get that pen, Harry Kane sticks it away, it's 1-1, it's an entirely different game, it could have gone an entirely different way. It doesn't happen. Spurs have to push and press. We have other opportunities. Sessegnon getting these deliveries pinged across to him. We were doing a lot of cross-field passes throughout the game, and Sessegnon had relative joy getting access to those balls coming from the right-hand side. And for me, you know, he didn't take on Sessegnon with enough confidence most of the time, but on the few occasions that he did, he had relative success. 1 second. One of those occasions, his first touch took it past Trent Alexander-Arnold with sublime excellence. It was an amazing first touch. He runs into the box, and all he needs to do is to touch the ball, just a delicate, a very slight feather-like touch. Take it past Konate. Konate's running in with such momentum. It's going to be another foul. It would have been, or should have been, another penalty. Instead, Sessegnon decides to cut back and turns into Konate instead. And for me, poor decision making from him on a day where he could have had a hell of a lot of success against an incredibly vulnerable right wing back, in defensive terms at least, in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Game carries on, and then we're still involved, and then for no reason at all, Eric Dyer does what Eric Dyer does far too frequently at the moment, and that is to make an unnecessary, unforced error with zero pressure around him against top 6 opposition. And that's what Liverpool are. Even though the league doesn't show it right now, they are, and they will be as the season unfolds. Gifts the ball in the air to Mo Salah, the last player in the world that you want to gift the ball to like that. And we're 2-0 down against the run of play. And that's the way the game, the first half fizzles out. We get booed off the pitch. I don't think the fans were booing the football. I think the fans were booing as a reaction to being 2-0 down at home at half time. I think most teams boo off their teams, most fans boo off their teams when you're 2-0 down at half time. But for me, I actually thought the first half, apart from the errors, I thought we played pretty well. I thought we were the victim of circumstance, the victim of the nature of a game of football that changes so violently when a goal is scored or when a decision isn't given like it should. Momentum can flip and change, and of course you come out in the second half having to throw men forward. Liverpool have the luxury of having something to protect, so they can sit back and absorb, and we'll get to the second half in a minute. But for me, I just want to say, like, the reality is that our crucial players in the defence or a goalkeeper have made too many major mistakes in too many major moments in too many major games. I see all the reports after the game. Tottenham battered by a top 4 team again. Tottenham outclassed by Liverpool. Tottenham outplayed. None of that was true. None of that is true in my opinion. But you know, at half time, I was on the Irish Hotspur doing the watch along. I tend not to look at the comments that are on the stream during the live stream, when the football's being played, because there's a delay, and sometimes if something happens, then you'll see it in the comments before you see it on the screen in the match. But at half time, I kind of kept an eye on it, and at the same time, my WhatsApps were pinging through groups, messages, and individual messages, voice memos, and everyone seemed very unhappy. Or not everybody, a lot of people seemed very unhappy with the performance in the first half, saying that we were awful and it was a disgrace and that Liverpool were better than us in every department. And I don't know, I mean, maybe I was in a pool of one, but I just didn't see the game like that. I understand people reacting because you're losing, but I thought it was one of the better first halves that Tottenham have actually played this season. I know that there's a pretty low bar when it comes to first half football from Tottenham, but I don't think we deserve to be 2-0 down. I think had the game been 1-1, it would have been very reasonable, and should have been, given the amount of chances that we had, good chances. Don't forget, we actually finished the game with a higher XG than Liverpool as well. I think by about 15% higher XG. Maybe a lot of that came in the second half, but people that say that we were completely dominated in the first half, I just maybe wasn't watching the same game as you, or watching it through the same lens. We come out in the second half before we made any changes, and Liverpool, like I said earlier, have the luxury to sit back and absorb, and they did. But Tottenham created a hell of a lot of chances, good chances. Some of them opportunities that didn't become chances but should have become chances. And for me, we were miles better than them in the second half, and should have got far more than just the one goal that we eventually got. I'll be talking about that in just a second. One sec. So Kulusevski gets brought into the game not a moment too soon. I said in the preview that I didn't want him to play if he was in any way, still recovering, still trying to, get his fitness back to full health, because I don't want to see him gone again. But they brought him on, I think, in like the 65th minute, 70th minute, something like that, and it took 50 seconds for him to have an impact. After that, he puts the ball in. It's fantastic to see what he does and what he brings to Harry Kane as well. Harry Kane, you could see Harry Kane's energy, his alertness, his movement off the ball just sprang into life, and it hadn't been there in the first half. I know Harry Kane was doing the difficult job of trying to be the creator in the first half and the first part of the second half, but as soon as Kulusevski comes in, Harry Kane, you can almost see him. It's like a robot waking up, getting into different positions and getting rewarded for it. Kulusevski and him straight on the same wavelength, and it's no wonder that I'll drop this page on the video now. No wonder that those stats look the way they do with the team, and with Harry Kane and Sonny specifically, in what they do, how much they contribute when Kulu's on the pitch. The guy also connected very well with Doherty, which is great to see. We saw Doherty come alive last season in the second half of the season when Kulusevski got introduced into the team. Those two had immediate chemistry. Højbjerg, Doherty and Kulu were all doing those clever triangles and just working their way up the pitch time after time in the second half of last season. And listen, we need Kulusevski back, so it's a massive positive to take from a game where you could otherwise feel frustrated, feel angry if you want to with the referee, or with individual mistakes from key players, but we can't do anything about them until January for the players, and we can't do anything about the referee ever, so you have to kind of roll with those punches, guys. Look, second half we created so many chances. Bentancur had chances, Harry Kane had chances, Kulusevski was whipping balls in left and right, Højbjerg had chances, Perisic had, I think I just said Perisic, we were peppering them. And as I say, I think if anybody says that Tottenham deserve to lose, I don't think they're being reasonable. I think a draw, if the game had finished a draw, I think no one could complain. But on another day, I think Tottenham could and should have taken a couple more of the chances that we created for ourselves, and we could have edged that game. I think we were the better team over the 90 minutes, and that's why I'm so torn right now of how to feel, because it'd be very easy to think, oh, another loss to a top 6 rival, let's hang our heads and be dejected and despondent. But I don't feel that way. I feel like we should hold our heads up high. 10 of the players, 12 of the players, maybe 1 or 2 others who didn't take their chances or who let the side down with sloppy errors, maybe they need to look at themselves in the mirror and figure out whatever it is what's going on with their concentration or their decision making in those key moments that change games. But for the rest of the team, I didn't feel the way that the apparent majority felt at half time. I thought we were okay in the first half, and I think in the second half we were brilliant again, and there's lots of reason to be positive. It is what it is, guys. For me, it's absolutely clear as daylight that in January we need to go and fix this defence. We can't rely on Sanchez, we can't rely on Tanganga, he doesn't get a look in. We can't rely on Eric Dyer anymore. You know, he's made mistakes in this game against the top six. He made a mistake in the Manchester United game, so did Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris also made a mistake in the Arsenal game. Key players making mistakes in big games, and when they're in positions where those mistakes are always amplified, the impact is amplified. It's different to Sessegnon missing the ball. It's different to Harry Kane missing a chance, because I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. If you're in a defensive role and you make a mistake and it's punished, the game pivots. If you're in an attacking role and you don't take the chance, the game doesn't pivot in the same manner. And so you've got to shake hands with that. That's just the way it is, Eric Dyer. You need to be more clear of mind and stop doubting yourself or whatever's going through your head in the last second before you do the things that you're doing. It's costing us. And if we hadn't had made those mistakes in those games that we have, Tottenham could be 8 points better off than we currently find ourselves. Look, it is what it is. There's lots of reason to be cheerful. Thank God Kulusevski got through the game with a clean bill of health. It's good to see Lucas Moura also hopefully back now. We don't know what's going to happen with his tendon. Obviously, we know it's a moving target with his pain barrier. Richarlison's also on the road to recovery soon, so we've got 2 more games, guys, before the World Cup, and then I think 2 games afterwards. And I really hope that Paratici has identified the targets that we need. It's having those conversations now, because there's lots of games in January, and signing whoever we're going to sign on the 31st of January is a problem. Sign them on the 1st or 2nd of January. Give ourselves a chance to compete in the big games with some better heads, some fresh legs, and some stability in the key areas of the team. And we'll go from there. Guys, let me know your thoughts. Did you feel the same way that I did in the end of the first half, that despite the scoreline being a reason to be angry, the performance wasn't that bad? Or were you like the people that were messaging me saying it's awful, we were being battered, they're better than us in every department? I didn't feel that way. Let me know what you did, and yeah, we'll get the conversation going. I'll see you on the Irish Hotspur at 10:30 this morning for the Champions League draw. Hopefully we get a favourable one. Or let me know, if you've watched this before, whether or not you wanted someone more difficult like PSG. Cheers, guys. I love you. Like, share and subscribe. And as always, guys, bye.